And who am I? That's not a secret I'll never tell. You know you love me. XOXO. Gossip Girl.
Okay, what's up? We got Gossip Girl, Season 4, Episode 11, The Townie. Yeah, so we got this episode finally ends the Juliet arc of the show. And that's the only reason why I'm doing this episode, not tomorrow, because it ends the Juliet arc. This is Juliet's final appearance on the show, except for that one appearance in the series finale. But still, just ends the Juliet arc. We're on the last episode of the Juliet arc. So this episode starts off with Blair and Dan summarizing Juliet's work, trying to find a motive for ruining Serena's life while on their way to Oshkosh. Blair thinks that her motive may have been retribution for something they don't know. Eric tells Serena that Lily and Chuck are meeting with the reporter from the New York Post for a bar industry profile. She asks him to keep Lily honest about where she is, and he agrees to make sure that she does know. In the lobby, Dan and Blair find that Serena isn't allowed visitors. They talk with the receptionist, and they find out from Eric that Serena's entered treatment that includes 70-hour no contact with anyone in the outside world. Blair and Dan try to explain that she doesn't need to be there, but Eric tells them that to leave it alone because she's finally getting the help she needs for a long time. At the Archibald, Nate tells Nate that she's been disinvited from all holiday parties because of Howard. Nate admits that he found out that Howard's asked for a leasing house outside the city, but he told the family business manager not to mention anything. Anne is unsurprised, and Nate says that he really thought he's changed, and then offers to tell him about the divorce himself. At the Waldorf, Blair and Dan discuss the next step in finding Juliet. They suggest they ask Gossip Girl, and Blair skeptically agrees. Meanwhile, Juliet arrives in her hometown, which turns out to be a small town accessible by New York bus. But back at the Waldorf, Blair and Dan and Blair hear back from Gossip Girl, who gives them an address to a house in Cornwall, Connecticut. At the center, Serena begins her therapy session by telling the whole story about her party past, including flashback montages about showing her sleeping with Nate, witnessing Pete Fairman's death, and leaving town to Cornwall, Connecticut. On the road, Dan and Blair arrive at Cornwall. At the Van Woods, and Chuck and Lily finish their interview. He mentions her stumblings around the question when he asks, can he take back Bass Industries? But Lily promises he'll definitely have it back one day. She tells Chuck that the caterers for her party will be showing up soon, and he takes off. In Cornwall, Blair and Dan arrive at the address, which turned out to be a large house with a lot of cars. They enter and find Richard, and they are looking for any clues connected to Juliet. After walking around, they find Damien sitting on a couch. In prison, Nate tells Howard that Anne found about the house, and Howard explains that when they were first married, they vacationed there, and she said it was her dream house, and he wanted to surprise her so they could reconnect away from the city. Nate apologizes for jumping to conclusions and promises to fix it, but Howard tells him no. He admits that their marriage has been over for a long time, and it will be released to a halfway house instead. They decide to watch the game together. In Cornwall, Damien explains to Blair and Dan and Blair that he's working as a Connecticut suburbs buy a lot of drugs. As he's working as Connecticut suburbs buy a lot of drugs during the holidays. He mentions the nightly boarding school, and Blair realizes that this is the town Serena ran away to when she went to boarding school. Dan asks if he knows Juliet. Then he explained about the overdose. Damien tells us about a few weeks ago, Juliet bought all kinds of drugs, including modern roofies, but assumes that she was throwing a sorority party. The three group up to find it. So I'm guessing that the drugs that Juliet bought to drug Serena were drugs that she bought off of Damien. So yeah. So the three group up together to find Juliet in front of the house. Juliet passes by and sees them before getting into their car. A flashback, Serena In a flashback, Serena is making a drink at board school in her dorm for a bunch of kids. On the floor, Damien does her homework and asks what grade she wants. While drunk, she kisses him. Back in the present, Damien, Blair, Damien, and Dan arrive at Juliet's mom's house to see her. Her mom explains that Juliet was out running errands, and they invite themselves to Mrs. Sharpco's to make tea. They ask how they know her, and Blair explains that she knows her from Columbia, and Dan says he met her while she was going to Nightly. Mrs. Sharp says if he knew Ben, but he wasn't so sure but he isn't so sure who she's talking about until she explains his last name is Donovan and sees a photo of him and Juliet. He tells Blair and Dan that Mr. Donovan was fired for sleeping with a student after Serena went back to Manhattan, and everyone was sure it was her. Serena continues her story in therapy, continuing with living her same party lifestyle at school. In a flashback, Serena meets with Ben outside a cafe and gives him a coffee. Then asks for his help with studying imagery in poems of Sylvia Plath. And he agrees to help her. In a voiceover, explains that she and Ben started spending a lot of time together more and more. Back in the present, Damien explains to Blair and Dan how at school Serena suddenly starts staying in and not partying, and he explains what made him believe the rumors about her and Ben, beginning with him having dinner with her aunt at Poughkeepsie. Serena and Blair arrive and Serena and Ben arrive in a flashback. Serena and Blair arrive and completely soaked and talking about how bad luck it was to have their car break down in the rain. They mention how the tip to the library wasn't worth it, but then says he's got to go fix the tire right then. She suggests they get a room and then tells him that she knows he thought about it too. He wrecks her advances and then heads out to fix the tire. In therapy, Serena admits that he was the only guy to ever say no to her, and she was in love with him. She also says that day they never really spoke again, but now she realizes Ben was a great guy. Meanwhile, in prison, Ben calls Juliet to find where she is. She explains that she's in New York to really finish the scheme once and for all. Ben starts panicking and begs her not to go after Serena. After they hang up, okay, so wait, now he doesn't want her to go after Serena? Now, after all this time of him wanting to go after Serena, now he's saying he doesn't. Ben sees Nate enter the prison. He tells her to make sure Serena's okay, but before he can, the security takes him away. Nate calls Dan and asks if he's talking to Serena, but she's still at Ostrov. He passes on Ben's warning, but none of them are around to check on her, but plan on meeting at the Vanderwoodsons. At the Ostrov, Serena enters her room to find Juliet waiting for her. On her way back to the city, Blair tells Dan that he's just like Mr. Donovan and has given everything up for her. Meanwhile, at the Ostrov, Juliet explains everything she did and that she did it because Serena ruined her brother's life. Serena asks who her brother is, and Juliet tells her it's Ben Donovan, which is the thing that I put because she asks what she ever did to him and learns the whole story. In flashback, Ben meets with a lawyer along with Juliet and his mother to be charged with statutory rape and transporting a minor across state lines. The lawyer gives him an affidavit signed by Serena and advises against going to trial because the prosecution has a witness, and he continues that his family presumed the DA into offering a plea bargain where Ben serves time but isn't forced to register as a sex offender. Julie explains to Serena that thanks to her, Ben is serving 5 years in prison. Serena swears that she never signed a paper, but there's only one person who could have. At the Vanderwoods, Lily and Rufus are hosting a party when Nate arrives and sees Anne also there. He tells her about Howard and the house, and she says it doesn't change anything and her social life matters more than her husband. Then walks off to talk to Minnie. Chuck begins to toast Lily in the company where Serena and Julia arrive. Serena heads up in front of Blair. Dan heads up to the front as Blair heads out to the front as Damien, and Dana arrive. They watch as Serena basically publicly outs Lily as being a selfish liar. Lily tries to regain control of Get. Lily talks to one of them as pretending to leave. He mentions an upcoming sale of Best Industry, which, of course, catches Rufus off guard because to him, he thought she was going to give it back to Chuck. But no, she's selling it? Lily being sneaky. Meanwhile, everyone follows Serena to her room and demands to know what's going on. Rufus promises to get Ben out of prison and lets Juliet go. Blair tries to stop her and Dan agrees with her but Juliet promises that she's going to stop going after Serena ever again. And she's not there to hurt anyone. Nate remarks that, like she already did. And, of course, Serena leaves. After Juliet's gone, Serena goes out to confront Lily about Ben. She explains everything to everyone, including Lily signing the affidavit illegally. Lily confesses that when Serena wanted to come home, no decent school in the city would accept her, so she went to Nightly to talk to the admissions. While she was there, she heard girls gossiping about Serena and Ben and used it to her advantage to secure a transfer, but realized it was too late to take it back. After she was contacted by DA, she was promised that she did to save her future. Serena is adamant that she said Ben never touched her. Chuck jumps in and explains that in every big choice there's collateral damage. Rufus tells them it's not that easy when there's a collateral damage. He gives Lily the opportunity to tell Chuck what she's doing, and when she doesn't take it, he reveals that she's planning on selling Bass Industries. Of course, alarmed and upset, Chuck tells her that he wants it back, but Lily tells them that the board will never give it to him since he disappeared for 3 months, and after that revelation, everyone basically abandons Lily. I would too, like Lily. She put an innocent guy to jail. She basically she faked Serena's signature, and she lied to Chuck about not giving him back, and she basically lied to Chuck's face, telling him that she would give him Bass Industries. Yeah, crap you, Lily. A week later, Serena and Blair and Chuck and Nate celebrate Christmas at the Empire. Chuck proceeds to leave for New Zealand to celebrate. Serena asks Dan to come with her on a road trip to find the judge who ruled out in her case, but he tells her it's really something she needs to do on her own. Outside, Nate's on the phone with Howard and tells them he gave his address at the Empire for him to report to. Upstairs, Dan and Blair clean up. They realize that they're the only ones who will be in the city and that they're both seeing Nanette at the film forum. Meanwhile, Serena goes to see Ben in prison, and that's where the episode ends. And this is Juliet's final appearance in the series, except for an appearance in the series finale. So that wraps it. So that wraps up the Juliet arc, and we never see her again, except for that. But I don't count that. That's a main appearance. Two. Lily basically committed fraud and basically forged Serena's signature, which she should go to jail for. 3, she basically lied to Chuck's face and made him believe that she was giving him the Bass Industries, but was never going to. Serena is now on a mission, thanks to Juliet, to release her brother from prison. And at the end of the episode, she went to visit Ben in prison. Damien, I guess, kind of was on this episode. He kind of did nothing. He kind of just watched them. He kind of just watched them. He didn't do anything. He kind of just watched Serena expose Lily, and that's it. I know in this season he has a more bigger story arc to play with his supposed rivalry with Ben, but with his thing against Ben and his rivalry and his friendship with Eric. But for his first episode back in this season, Damien kind of didn't do anything. He kind of didn't do anything. But we'll see more of him, and he'll be more of a story villain. He'll be more of a main antagonist villain in later episodes. And that was the Townie. I only wanted to review it today was because I wanted to end Juliet's character and story arc with a really good review, because this is the last we see of Juliet for 2 seasons until her cameo in the series finale. But still, it's kind of weird that this is the last we see of Juliet. Just like Jenny, she's just written out of the show. And unlike Jenny, Juliet doesn't get any mentions. But yeah, this was episode 11. We usually don't do 5 videos, only at one time. But still, just wanted to end the Juliet arc of the show. Just wanted to end this first arc of the show. I wonder what the rest of the season will, with this episode 22 episode of the season will bring. Now we got episodes 12 through 22. And yeah, I'll do a big video for Jenny and a big video for Juliet in this video, like a video for them. Hopefully it doesn't get copyrighted. But still, I just wanted to give them in their final episodes really good tributes because they were really good. Even though Kate Cassidy was only in this show for like 11 episodes, and Jenny was only in the series for 4 seasons, I still think they did a really good job with the characters they portrayed. But yeah, Lily got exposed, and now no one trusts her. Nate and Juliet are now over, and Blair. It seems like Blair and Dan are gonna get closer. Blair and Dan, yeah, again, Blair and Dan. It seems like Blair and Dan are gonna get closer, but yeah, Blair and Dan are gonna get closer. Lily has basically alienated herself from everyone she cares about, including Rufus and Chuck too, and Serena, and I think Eric. But still, but yeah, I would be mad at Lily too. Like, I'm mad at Lily. Like, Lily, she basically did something bad, and now she's gonna have to pay for it at some point. Because she forged a signature because she did it because in her mind she thought it was protecting Serena, but no, she didn't. She was protecting Serena, but she was also sending a young man to jail who didn't deserve it. So yeah, now Serena is going to have to find a way to get Ben out of prison. So yeah, that's it for this video, and I'll see you next time for Season 2, Season 4, Episode 12. I don't remember the title. But you know you love me. XOXO, Gossip Girl.